right?
Yeah.
Waiting for Facebook to say we're okay.
Okay. Okay, so from now on, we might be
How many
getting
followers do you
taped.
guys
You are on
I
Facebook.
don't
Come
know.
on, Facebook.
I don't know.
Okay, we
There
are on
was a
YouTube.
time
We are
when we
now
had a
on.
lot of views.
But
We could get hundreds or even thousands of views, but those days are gone.
We got the handshake from YouTube.
Just somehow or
we got the
another.
handshake from Twitch.
Right.
Okay, are you ready to go
like
on?
Okay, so I just want to remind everybody that our basic thing is sort of like why you each are doing what you're doing,
Okay.
sort of how you're doing what you're doing,
Let you go first so I can.
and well, and it'll
She's
we'll-
going to ask you to introduce yourself.
it'll go around. And also, I do have an opening piece that'll take a little bit. Just that includes a land acknowledgement and a bunch of acknowledgements and
Okay.
a mini canonio.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll
Mini
flow.
canonio.
It'll flow. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. So, and everybody's thing is about 4 inches from yours should be closer, especially with your low voice. Yeah, just a little bit, because it should be about 4 inches from your mouth.
I just feel like people are nosy. That's why I talk low.
Yeah,
And plus, this is Buffalo. It's like,
yeah.
I'm
but
always in a
little bit-
restaurant with like at least 2 or 3 people I know. I'm like, I don't want you to know.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
There's
Okay.
times I'm on the phone in my house that I start whispering, but I work in politics, so it's like in my head. It's
Right. Right.
weird.
No, I've
It's a
done
weird
some
feeling.
whispering too.
And I don't
I've
know
done
why I'm
some
whispering
whispering
in my
for
own
effect.
house, so.
No, sometimes I go like this because you
done
know
some whispering.
people listen harder when they have to strain to listen to you. You know.
Sometimes our professors try to do that, and it's not. So, yeah, I have 68 businesses. We're lit. I'm super excited, Vicki. It's gonna be
Right.
cool.
Right. Oh, it's very
We're
cool.
making rice and beans. We're braiding hair. We're doing it all.
Oh yeah.
Pastelitos.
Already know.
All right.
Okay. So
step
youth.
one is you
Yours
have
is
to-
youth entrepreneurship showcase.
Showcase, yes, for short. That's the acronym.
Youth.
Youth Entrepreneurship Showcase.
Yeah. So I was right. Yep. Good. Just checking. Just checking.
All right. So when you're ready, you know what to do first. You have to throw the
Watch how
switch.
nervous I get.
Yeah. Okay.
You watch
Okay,
yourself.
and Latinas
fun.
in business. Okay. Okay, so if everybody is ready, are you all ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, now put the clapper in front of your face. When you hit the clapper, you're on the air.
Thanks. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future. Thanks to our friend and producer, Richard.
Yay, Richard.
Yay,
Richard Wicca.
Richard.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Richard. And we thank our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station coming out of Buff State. So we thank you very much, our friends at Buff State and WBNY. And when I think of thankfulness, I think of our Indigenous friends because I think about, well, for one, that we are on stolen Haudenosaunee land, stolen Seneca land right here. And in spite of all the atrocities, the violence, and the stealing of their land and resources and their oppression, our Indigenous friends still emphasize thankfulness more than anything. They start all their events and their day by being thankful, by remembering Mother Earth, by first thanking the people who've made the event possible or who have come, thanking Mother Earth for all that she gives us to keep us going, thanking all of the plants, being thankful for the nutritional, the medicinal, the trees that give us so much in every kind of way that wouldn't be possible. Of course, the living waters, that we can't live without water, so the importance of that water is our very life, and above all, you know, the love and the instructions that have been given to us by our Creator that we should follow so that life can continue in this creation. And then they would say Yahweh, which is that almost like ashe or praise, you know, and then the people would say no. So Yahweh.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you. I'm very thankful for this great show we're going to have today on entrepreneurship, on encouraging entrepreneurship. And we have two women here at the studio who have been very busy encouraging entrepreneurship in all kinds of ways. So we'll just go, as the Haudenosaunee do, counterclockwise. So to me, it's counterclockwise. It's different on the screen. But anyway, Talia Rodriguez. Hi, Talia.
Hi, I'm Talia. I'm from Latinas in Business New York, and I'm so excited to be here with you, Vicki, and to learn more about your program. And I also have a website called www.makinglatinaherstory.us. I'm a writer. I write about amazing women, so I'm so excited to be here.
And I would also add, well, at Latinas Her Story, you said,
Yeah.
you have your website.
Yes.
It's a column. It's you
Yeah,
know,
it's
a
also
lot
in
of things.
print. So we have 3 papers, and we're in circulation around the state, which is super, super cool.
But the thing that we're really going to focus more on is Latinas in Business New York.
yeah,
So,
it's like a big family, but we're excited to be here. I'm
so
excited to be
yeah,
here.
we're grateful that you're here. Absolutely. And then we have Tracy Cooley,
Hey, Miss Vicki.
longtime
Yay.
friend. It's
Yes.
great to see you.
Yes, very excited to be here.
And of course, we've had lots of ways that we've worked together, and I'll mention Women
Sure.
Against Violence Everywhere being one of them, or Stop the Violence Coalition before that, or even, you know, at different times.
Yeah.
And but I especially, you know, we thought of you when we were thinking of entrepreneurship
Sure.
because of your youth entrepreneurship showcase that you've been doing for at least a decade.
At least
Is
it's
it?
been since 2012.
Yeah, so there it is. It's an exact decade. You're
Yep.
going to celebrating your 10-year
Yes,
anniversary.
I didn't even think of it
Cool.
like that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Think of it like
yeah.
that,
Oh,
yeah.
special. So this will be a special show for
Exciting.
your 10-year anniversary.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anyway,
Thank you.
so we're excited. So, so what we like to do, I like to do, is, you know, in true peace circle type fashion,
Yeah.
or just, you know, because I think it's so important to think about principles and things. So when we go around and just do a thing on values in this topic, right? So if you think about, like, if you're thinking about encouraging entrepreneurship or just even about entrepreneurship, what are the values that you think of that are being upheld in or they need to be remembered when thinking or organizing around entrepreneur or being in business at all?
Sure.
So what
You want
would
me to
you
go
say?
first?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
The
Okay.
Take it away.
counterclockwise.
I would say always innovation, and I stole that from my friends at Rich Products. Innovation, they're
Hey.
like, it's one of the pillars that we work with the community. But from my perspective, based on my individual project, which they've been super supportive of, and you know, my boss, everyone, is non-judgment. People are so shy to tell you what their business idea is or what stage in business maturation they are. They feel very, at least in my experience, like nervous. So I tell them, like, it doesn't matter what your idea is. Like, I want to hear it, you know, and I don't care if you're starting in your kitchen or whatever. We just really want to foster it at early stages, and that really has to be circled around non-judgment, I feel like.
Awesome.
Right. So that is a very big one, and it applies to all kinds of areas. So
Yeah.
non-judgment. Thank you for
Of
that.
course.
So
Sure.
Tracy.
So Ms. Vicki, I'm going to take it down to the very core, and it's something that we teach the young people throughout the program, and that's how to be ethical. And there's a few different measures we put to it. So one is the golden rule, and what is that? We all know
Right.
the golden rule.
Right.
Treat others how we want to be
Absolutely.
treated,
Right.
right? Number 2 is the newspaper rule. If your parents see it in the newspaper, is it going to make them happy, or is it going to make them sad or mad?
That's a
We
tough one.
obviously want to make our parents happy, so any
Yeah.
decision we make,
That's a
if it
tough
hits
one.
the paper,
That's
we
a
want
good
it to be a good
Yeah.
one. And then number 3 is the everybody rule, right?
Ah.
If, say, for example, we go into Tops in that candy section where sometimes way back in the day we would go in, and who would notice out of the bulk candy if we take a piece of candy? Nobody's going to notice, right?
Right.
Well, if it's not okay for everybody to come in and take a piece of candy, then it's not okay for you.
Right,
So that's
right,
the
right.
everybody rule. Think about it from that perspective.
Actually-
Being ethical, that's the core.
Now, I just have to tell you, there was a book I remember from childhood. It was called "This Is What Would Happen If Everybody Did." Did you ever read that
I
book?
never did, but it's definitely one of the rules.
They were like, dig
ethical
a
rules.
hole, no problem. But this is what would happen if everybody did. You know, different things, or they just show you that exact point.
Exactly.
That exact point. Well, I want to say, you know, in line with what you said, I would say, well, I often go to truth and love, but I love Cornell's version of a very similar thing, which is moral integrity and universal solidarity.
Absolutely.
Right? So moral integrity, which is really about ethics, right? So that in Hinduism they have a shloka that says, may my thoughts and my words be one, may my words and my actions be one. So that's the definition of integrity, that it's a wholeness.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's moral, then that's the answer. It could be, I guess, can it, I don't know. I never thought about whether integrity could be all negative, You're one whole negative thing. First of all, I don't believe that's possible,
Yeah.
although some people have really gone very close to proving us wrong,
Yeah.
I think, but we won't get into that. And of course, and universal solidarity, which is back to that brings out the ethics again, because, like your customer is not the enemy. Your
Exactly.
customer is your neighbor.
Oh yeah,
or
our
your-
customers are our friends.
It's
Like,
everybody. Everybody's a
yeah.
customer.
Yeah, this
Right.
is my friend's hat. This isn't even mine. Like, my friend
Right.
made this T-shirt, and I think you can see how many times the dollar is circulated inside the community, and that's one of the things the girls and I talk about. And I think for the Latino community, it's around 7 times that it's circulated. But I think for me, when I think of universal solidarity, I think of capitalism and what I feel is a larger failure to acknowledge that Latino people are the muscles of this country, period, right?
Sure.
Like, we're picking the food that people are eating. So when people are turning around on the weekend and saying, I also want to be a capitalist, right? Like, I also want to be seen in a different lens outside of carrying this broom I have, innovation or thoughts that I want to put out, I feel almost like it's obligatory for people to help us, because I'm like, hello, we're already getting paid less
Right.
Well, that's
and doing more.
so if we
Specifically
could,
the women.
If we could go
Right.
into this piece of it, so one of the things is we talked, when we had a little plan of show what we're going to talk about, we talked, I put entrepreneurship and economic justice,
Sure.
right? Which, it sort of brings us up about capitalism and socialism and all of that. And I know one of the things when I went with Pastors for Peace to Cuba, and there was some entrepreneurship. There were people starting, who had their own little, tourist, souvenir type businesses, or, there were small businesses. So, we have always had a mixed economy, but we've also had, ever more predatory capitalism, which we've had actually, that came from Go also, alongside of some other less harmful things.
I always say somebody owes me some money. But I think one of the things that's exciting about living in Buffalo is there's a lot of layers of the conversation. Like, we can have this conversation about how we think that from the beginning things should have been framed differently, but then you can also have a conversation about, like, where are all the resources? And it's incredible
Right.
because there's so much that's being offered, and it's like almost I feel like one of my jobs is to bring that information to my community.
Sure.
And also, like, to specifically invite them and be like, if you want to, go to Canisius's business law clinic, I'll go with you.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, of just, the sort of, I guess it's the why.
Yeah.
Why people want to have their own businesses. Why should we be encouraging it? What's good about it, which, it should be obvious. But, and Tracy, maybe we'll go to you for,
So
what 'cause-
your question is why people would want to have their own business?
yeah, or why do we want to encourage that?
Yeah,
What's
sure.
good
Absolutely.
about that?
Economic empowerment and independence.
Right.
Absolutely. We want to empower people to make money and
Right.
not have to be struggling for it, right? Give them all the tools they need
Right.
to be entrepreneurs, yeah.
Well, especially back to that thing about what we were saying about corporations. So, sometimes there's a balance, or this is where I'm always about collaboration too.
I know, and I
But-
love you so much for that.
that,
You really
yeah.
inspired me.
Well, thank you. Well, and your thing is a collaboration.
Oh
so
my
this
God,
is
there's so
about
many of us. It's
balance.
so-
But I just want to say, so predatory capitalism. One of the things about it is that because it's not entrepreneurship. There's this whole structure that is just squeezing the life out of the people on the bottom and maybe in the middle. In the middle, it could go either way. But the people at the top are just raking it in. The stockholders also. So all the because of capitalism, capital is getting a return, and so it keeps, it's like I won't talk about what actually trickles down.
Right,
But what
right.
trickles up is
Right.
all the money, and
Right.
so that's one of the problems, and
Yeah.
that's why we need the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and it's also difficult because, and I'm sure you would know this, when you want to start a business, you obviously need some type of capital, right?
Sure.
And it's so difficult to get, especially for certain demographics, you know what I mean?
Right.
And, so just fighting that battle, like you were calling it, economic justice.
Right.
A lot of people want to create an economic system for themselves and make money. And not everybody's meant to, number one, go to college, right? And that's actually what inspired my entrepreneurship program. Not everybody wants to go work for somebody. And I even think about
That's
my
what-
own children who are all
Right.
in their 20s in that particular generation. They all want to be entrepreneurs.
Right.
One of my children that went to college, she got an economics degree, and she said, "Well, I did that for you. I did that for
did that
you,
too.
Mom."
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, I did that for you. But she's
Okay.
but she's an entrepreneur. She sells things, and that's how
What's
she
she
makes her
doing?
money. She's online food sales. So like she
Oh,
cooks
okay.
and then she sells, and she does very well at that. She does very well. She pays her bills, and it's whatever time of day she feels like doing
I
it.
know your face is lighting up
Well,
like you hear
I'm so
another person
excited,
to
but then I'm
invite.
reading the comments and I'm like, are we live? Are we live? Because those are those
Oh, okay.
comments,
Thank
Richard?
you. Yes. Why not support small businesses?
But where can I, because I want to share us.
Okay, so
I don't see
why
it. I see
not?
the
Wait,
questions.
it says,
Oh.
okay, wait a minute. Why
That's
not?
my friend Stephanie. That's my babe. Hi,
so
babe.
she's saying, okay, we know Latinos in Business New York. That's what we're
Yeah,
talking
that's my
about.
girl.
Why
She's
not?
a core
Why
member.
not support small businesses that dare to make their dreams come true? People that dared to say, I want to make a name for myself and I want something to call my own. No, it's not why. It's actually, of course, why
Yeah.
do. Yes, do. Then that's why we're having this show, because it is so important
That's
and it's so
fantastic.
good for, a healthy, happy society, which is
Yeah.
what we need.
And you need diversity. I
Absolutely.
don't know what part of Buffalo you live in. I live in East Buffalo. I think that's what we're trying to call it these days.
No, I think people are still calling it the East Side, and they're saying, "Why are you making us change what we're
yeah.
calling it?"
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But-
East Side, East Buffalo. But at the end of the day, I think about the businesses over there, and that's another thing that inspired me, right? And the struggle for them to get any type of money to, help rehab their buildings
Right.
or just whatever, facade improvements and things like
Right.
that. That has to change. People taking, whether it's whatever financial institution it looks like, right, to help these small businesses improve their business and build their business and support
Right.
their businesses.
Right.
That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it needs to happen. That people need the support. I want to also shout out for micro lending. So there's been micro lending, and I want to say, Deidre, our executive director
Yeah.
at the Western New York Peace Center, was the micro lending person for MAP for years. That
Deidre's
was
the boss.
before she
Deidre,
was.
we love you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
If you're watching us, we love you,
and
girl.
board member at the Western New York Peace Center.
Very proud of
just
that.
by the way.
Very proud of that.
I
But
should
you
have
know what
said
I was
that.
going to say, Vicki? And
Yes,
I think we
please.
both were touching on it. Is like there's been violence against brown people when they try to advance themselves from a business perspective.
Right.
And anytime
Brown
you
and
try
black
to,
and really
right, and
any-
still like
People of color.
I have a lot of privilege within the Latino community. So I have someone that's Chicana that's coming on my show. I have women who are Dominican, and we have different lenses and different vulnerabilities in business because of our citizenship and our various journeys with citizenship. So I think for me, part of this journey has been acknowledging my own privilege and then saying, how can I help other businesses? And it would be like terrible for me not to mention the violence they have against street vendors in California. They're tipping their carts and framing it and they filming it, and they think violence against my people is some kind of weird like show and they enjoy it. But I think one of the things that I have to do from my perspective is acknowledge those street vendors as part of my economic community.
Right.
Right, because they're Latino and I see them.
Of course.
And that in itself is kind of what's bringing us together, saying whatever it is your passion, piraguas, or just like whatever, like we're going to acknowledge it and treat it as seriously if, you know, we were at Forbes.
Well, we have such a problem with economic justice in this country. I mean, there is not economic justice
Right.
in this country. So the unions are an effort to help with that.
Hey.
It has helped with that, but it's only helped so much.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the unions have their own problems as well, but certainly the lack of unions is a huge problem because then people are at the mercy, and back to why entrepreneurship. So we're back to that, so that you're in control of your own and
financial means.
there was a woman, I wish I remembered, who wrote an article, but it's this model about, it's always the right time to do the right thing. So in business, if you don't, there needs to be some profit so that the person can plow it back into the business or take care of depreciating assets,
Yeah.
buy a new refrigerator when you
Yeah.
need to, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. But not excess, not squeezing out as much as you can. That reciprocity that is actually very much in the indigenous culture or in any kind of a more balanced culture than what we have, that is so important. Wouldn't you say? Or either of you, why don't we go around on that?
It's ironic that you asked me that because my entire job is funded by a corporation that is giving, like straight to the state. So I think for me, being able to work with the people at Riches and have them treat me as a neighbor really has shown me that it's possible, right? And like I've gone nationally to do presentations with them about how to work with corporations and community. And I'm so incredibly proud of that work. But I do think that many of us feel as if there is like a point. Well, there's like different points because I think I've made like $300 in my business. So I was like, I'm doing it, right? So like I feel like there's different measures and everybody has that like, well, if you make $1 million, you're good. But then when you're at the point when you're making $1 million, $1 million doesn't feel like $1 million. So it's like very complicated, because there's almost stages and layers. And I always say, again, when you're coming back to the micro lending, those are the powerful things because you just give the money to people who use it directly, right? And I think that model is amazing. But definitely, I'm like, it's ironic that you asked me that because I've spent, I think, 3.5 years together with them building the coalition.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Repeat the question.
Well, just we're talking about economic justice and again, entrepreneurship and good business.
Oh,
What does
okay.
it mean, good business practices?
Yeah. Well, I just want to squeeze this in, and I don't know how it fits in
Sure.
as an answer to that question.
Sure.
What's very difficult for small businesses, especially in diverse populations, is first of all knowing where the resources are, knowing how to get to them, knowing everything you need to get to them. So that financial literacy, number one, it's not taught in school,
Right.
Depending on if you go to college, some of that is taught at the college level. Well, all of it is taught at the college level, I imagine, in different degreed programs. But if you're not a person that wants to go to college, and that's what I'm speaking kind of for that culture of students or of the generation that are not going to college these days, right?
Right.
We see the college
It's so expensive.
registrations dropping, right?
It's so expensive for one thing.
And they want to become entrepreneurs. They want
Right.
to start their small businesses, but
Right.
number one, many times don't know how to start it.
Right.
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 Don't know where the resources are. There is financial literacy, but even then, you got to need to be directed on where to get that literacy
Right.
from.
Right.
So I think in terms of reciprocation, we need something like my program.
Yeah, you're
right?
amazing. And look
Right.
how good you are on the
Well, so
podcast. I
to
told
give
you we're going to
back.
be good.
Yeah.
Actually,
You're so
so-
natural.
But to give back. To
We
give
knew that.
back because that was my inspiration, living on the east side or East Buffalo,
right.
seeing number one, my children are mixed, right?
Okay.
Right.
Me too.
Okay. So already
ups to everybody who's mixed.
understanding that dynamic, right? We're not blind to it. Using my white privilege, right, to do what I can for that, to create economic justice
Right.
for those that do not have my privilege, and that includes my kids, who are my inspiration for that. Many young people who drop out of school, they think that's the option. Like, you know what, I'm not going to go to college. As a matter of fact, by 8th grade, 9th grade, they're starting to come to that decision-making point of, am I even going to stay in school?
Right.
You know, a lot of times dropping out of school, we know what they lead into, illegal activity and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
So, and then where does that lead to? Prison, you know,
Right.
the new plantation,
Right.
right? So for me, it's teaching young people who are at that 9th through 12th grade level, and I'm even younger now. We're down in third, fourth grade doing this.
Sure.
Right, planting those seeds
Sure,
of
sure, sure.
entrepreneurship, right? That give them the tools that you don't necessarily need a college education for. Show them where the resources are. Show them how to get their hands on it, and what they need, good credit scores, to, you know, teaching all of that to get that. Because that's another thing.
Right.
You got people who don't have good credit scores because they don't understand it and the
Right.
importance of it, right?
Right.
They don't have credit built, so that's a stop. So it's
Right.
just teaching all of that, and that's where all my inspiration comes from.
So that's what you're teaching in your program.
Yeah, we teach all that in the program, you know, the nuts and bolts of it. And what we even go so far as to do this. So the goal is to show them how to make money. And it's not just, oh, here's the business plan development, because we go through business plan development based on the age group. We set it up, right?
Right, right.
But we actually have them create a product. Usually it's T-shirts, baseball caps, book bags, water bottles. They design what they want on it. I have a relationship with a printer. They make the product, and I create sales opportunities for that cohort to sell their product. And then at the end of the program, the money is distributed.
Oh, cool.
So that need for, number one, instant gratification is delayed. So they learn that you got to earn
Right.
that money.
Right, right.
And then the fact that they're earning the money that they put in the work to do,
Right.
that feeling. And that's the seed I want to plant, you know, that you don't have to drop out of school. You don't necessarily have to go to college. You can be an entrepreneur and make money, and this is how you do it. Find your niche. And then, of course, teach them how to get to those resources as well, because you need capital to start. There's a lot of out of your basement businesses, right?
Right.
But it's good to have some capital to get started with. Yeah.
Sure. Just to, you.
Because right now I provide the capital for the program, or grants provide the capital
Right.
for the program, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that's
that's
where I think
I think
it's unfair,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, for
getting
me-
hands on the
And-
resources.
Go ahead.
So why don't you tell about your program
I was
now?
just gonna say, I found my own Latino community to be generous when we asked, but we're at $650 level. So
Yeah.
I think that
Of what?
of money. So I always say, I don't say fundraising, I say neighbor raising, because when I ask people for money, it's like, I've known you my whole life, so just give it to me.
Right.
But there goes Stephanie. She didn't go to college, mi amor, pero tú eres inteligente. My friend Steph didn't go to college, but she makes
That's awesome.
organic stuff, and she's amazing. But to my point was, Latinos have given me money to give to other Latinos. And they're willing to do that because they know it's directly going to them.
Right.
So we go to dinner, and then as we introduce ourselves, if people elect to, they pitch their business or their idea, and then we vote as a group who we think deserves the money.
Yeah.
But we don't ask for a financial disclosure.
Yeah.
Because for me, those moments were tough. You know, people want to see your
They
bank
could create
statements
barriers,
and stuff. Yeah, and and I don't want to. It's just toma. You know, we believe in you. So we gave $350 grants.
Nice.
And it was amazing. But I learned that experience by working with Shark Tank. And, you know, I want to acknowledge Rachel Kennett.
Wait, Shark Tank, was it the
so-
reals or the one?
So
I know there's
it was,
a Shark
so
Tank
very
in
much
Lafayette.
like this program. Yeah, we did an entrepreneurs
Lafayette.
program, but also that
school.
yeah, and that seeing that Buffalo Public Schools is starting to get the message, and there's a food pantry that's run inside PS 198 that's actually staffed by the kids, and it just won a national grant. So I think for me, it goes back to that original question of like, we have such a vibrant community of entrepreneurs, whether it's like 43 North or down to
yep.
Sure.
like the food pantry thing. And it's just knowing all that, you grow inspiration. And I think even for my community, when I share stuff that they wouldn't otherwise see, we get excited, right? Because we're like, oh, look at this person that's my neighbor doing this amazing thing.
Wow. Yes. So
Also,
you're
Louis Rodriguez,
so-
I have to say Rodriguez Construction. Louis gives me money for the kids. What's up, Louis?
Hey, Louie.
Yeah, we love you.
So your group though, you have people. So do they have to be Latina?
Well, the way that we phrase it is if you identify as a Latino or Latinx person, or if you just feel from your personal identity comfortable in the space, right? Like whatever you want to call that. And that's from a gender and cultural perspective. Like, I don't think anyone
Right.
would come sit next to us and we would look at them and be like, you're not included.
You're not Latina,
right, like-
Latinx enough.
Right, I'm not
Or
checking
Latina
anyone's family
enough.
tree. It's just a culture that's based on a lot of common experiences and also experiences that are different. So deliberately, as a Puerto Rican, I'm looking to include Chicana entrepreneurs. I'm looking to include Dominican women who have a narrative about the economy that I don't have. So it's like this thing of unifying us, and it's been amazing. It's really been really fun. And my friends inspire me.
Sure.
Like I always say, if your friends don't inspire you like my friends do, you need new friends. 'Cause they work their butts off.
Right. Well, that is friends are that encouragement.
Yeah.
You know, that encouragement, that solidarity too. No, I just thought you were
Oh,
going to
no,
say
I'm
something.
listening to the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well,
but what
and
you've done is incredible. How many people have passed through your program?
Oh, geez, since 2012?
Yeah.
I can't even count.
Now, where are
It's
you
hundreds.
doing it? So that how would
amazing.
So
somebody enroll?
leading up to before COVID happened,
Yeah.
we were in several schools, community
Cool.
centers.
Right.
Once COVID was over, we're just now reintroducing the program back into stuff. So right now we're at Persistence Prep Charter School. Go Persistence Prep.
Cool.
We did it with 2 cohorts throughout the school year. One of the cohorts made a little over $2,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
You're
Well, they
making
created
bank.
T-shirts.
That's some
Yeah.
Yeah.
bucks.
I got it straight out of
$2,000.
straight out of 198 or straight out of Grover T-shirt from the kids at Grover.
It's funny you say that because before COVID hit, probably back in like 13,
Oh, you were in
14-ish,
Grover?
they did but they did a straight out of whatever their thing was. They did a straight out of.
Well, because they changed it. It used to be Grover, and now it's International Prep.
Yeah.
Right.
iPrep.
Yeah.
Dale, okay, iPrep.
Right,
iPrep.
For all my
right.
girls at iPrep.
Yeah.
I prep. Right.
So yeah, so now what we're doing with that is we're gonna bring a banker in and teach them about how to save money and things like that. One of the banks, I don't know if it's Evans. I think it's Evans Bank. Shout out to them.
They're trying to
Yay.
redeem
And Royce
themselves.
was-
Good.
Yep. And-
Good.
Yeah.
That's
and,
good.
I didn't even move. That was just my keys.
yeah,
They just
No,
told
that's
me.
all right.
And now I want to introduce some additional financial literacy. So not
Sure.
just the entrepreneurship program, but now I want to introduce the second program, which is financial literacy for the youth. I don't know what I'm going to call it.
Cool.
I just had the idea, teaching them how to budget, write checks.
Well, this is what I
You
was
should
going to
have
say.
Shark Tank. Do you want
Credit.
Shark Tank? I'm like,
I know.
Well,
I do.
that's what I was
think there's
actually
just, like,
thinking about.
Yeah, we need to talk.
synergy. Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Well-
and then of course accounting. So like at a higher level, I'd like to probably for high school students start. I used to want to have an accounting club at like
Okay.
a high school.
That's
Right.
cool.
To teach them how to do basic accounting, so that if they decide they want to get into it, college level, go get your degree in it.
Yeah.
But what
Sure.
I always say is, everybody needs an account. If you work, you need an accountant. If you have a business, you need an accountant. Don't try to do the stuff by yourself.
No, you
And,
need to understand, and also you need to understand what's going on.
gotta
You
understand
don't
what's
necessarily
going
have
on.
to do it, but you have to
You
understand,
have to understand
what's
those
going on.
financials and
Oh,
your
yeah.
profit loss, your balance sheet. Yep. So
Right,
all
right.
of that I want to introduce.
Right,
So
right. No,
it's
that
funny.
has to come.
Yeah.
Because actually, I studied economics too,
Okay.
and business, and accounting.
Yeah.
Actually,
I actually teach accounting
I
at
got.
a couple colleges.
Do you
Actually,
really? I was
I
gonna be
gotta-
you'd be a good professor. I got that
I'm
vibe
at
from
2
you.
colleges.
Oh, I'm-
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Now,
I've been
where
for
do,
like
where
8
do you
years.
teach? Halbert is one of them, right?
No, ECC and Brighton Strand.
That's
Oh, okay.
amazing.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
right. So it used to be.
Yeah.
It was in the way back when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say that I studied accounting when I think the first time I went back to school and got an associate's degree, it was legal, secretarial, and accounting. And I want to say,
Cool.
did that ever serve me well? And I went back a number of times more after
Yeah.
that. But I'm that very elemental stuff and just the concepts, just to sort of, you don't need to do it. You don't need
I
to
can't
know
do
all
it.
the rules.
I'm math dyslexic. I get intimidated.
What
but-
you
But go ahead.
Yep, what you want to be able to understand, you could have somebody do all the accounting for you.
Right, you
Is
just-
how to read those financial
Yes,
statements.
so you know what's
Yes,
going
so you
on.
know what's going on
y-
and what you
need
have.
to
and-
understand what's going on.
And what you're worth.
And also
that's-
your plan.
Yeah.
That's the other
Okay.
thing. I heard you talking about business plan.
You need your business plan. Well, you need that if you're, especially, number one, to guide you throughout. You know,
Right.
you want to stick to your mission and your
Sure.
goal and everything else that comes with
Sure.
it. But if you want to get money, if you want to get a loan from a bank or any financial
Right.
institution,
Oh,
you
yeah.
need a business
If
plan.
you don't have
they want to see
they
how
won't
you're
talk
going
to
to
you
make
if you
money.
don't.
Yeah.
You don't have a business plan.
Yeah. They want
Yeah.
to see if you're how you
Right.
think you're going to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so let us talk a little bit about this too. The competition versus cooperation
Oh,
question.
yay.
Yeah, I love that question, especially in this context.
Yeah.
So, so how does that work for you? I don't say how does it work for you? How do you see it? How do you deal with it in your different groups? You know.
What do you mean between people that do like things like us? Like I don't know what you mean.
Well,
by that.
you can take it the way you want. So first, but it's just really more conceptual than anything else. So there's a certain amount of competition. So if you're trying to get people to come to you, you might be trying to make sure they're coming to you. Means you're not sending them to somebody else.
Do you mean like a business?
But
Like she means
from the business,
redundancy.
it could be from
In terms of
programs.
service
It could be
provider.
from
okay.
business.
Okay.
So it could be from your various businesses
Oh, yeah, we have
in your
multiple
group. It could
businesses
be
that overlap.
from your various kids who are competing for the money, or it could be from similar programs.
Yeah.
So you can take it in any of those ways. It's just that competition versus cooperation, those principles and how you see them interact in the work you do. That's how I'd put it. So what would you say?
One of our pillars is positive encouragement. I don't want to call them girls, but like our members coming in know that, and that's part of the culture. And I think part of the other thing that we try to address is like mental health. So I have a girl, my friend Diani Leak, she's from Rincon, and that's my baby, and she's
From where?
Rincon, which is where I live in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
We're from the same town, and essentially we preach it. Right, and it's benefited us because we buy from each other, and when we make products, like even Stephanie who came on, like we make them with love, so it's amazing.
Right.
We also have people who go to scale and are selling in larger markets, right? And anytime they have those opportunities, like one of our person, she's Healthy Rican. What's up, baby? She is doing very, very well, and she's gone to scale, and she's turned around and used those narratives to inform other girls, and we make space for that, deliberate space to be like, hey, how do you leverage A, B, and C? But I think for us, one, it would be absurd because there's millions of Latinos, right? So there's enough Latinos for all of us to sell to other Latinos. And two,
Right.
it's like we sometimes lack that positive encouragement from other places
Right.
because of those deficits that we talked about. So being able to provide that in our community has been wonderful. Like we literally are like sisters, so it's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice. How is it? What community in Buffalo are you mostly found in?
They're online, so it's a digital
Oh, it's
directory.
online.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a digital directory. I actually have the shirt, Dorcas, thank you.
Oh,
Right.
And it's like this.us, and essentially what happened is,
Latinos in Business New York.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we might have to change it soon, because people
Oh, because
from,
you're going to have to get
I
people
don't-
from
well,
outside New York.
what's up, Jessica? She's in Ohio. But I think part of it is this idea that we can't find each other. We're in pockets. So
Right.
there might be one strong Latina businesswoman, and she's supporting a culture, a microculture amongst her friends of business, right? What we try to do is connect each other.
Yeah.
So that
Right.
way we can refer to each other or get each other's nails done.
Right,
But I think
right,
more
right.
so than that, it's also addressing that some of the people, specifically the people who are doing the most physical labor of my demographic, struggle to access information. So there's a digital divide. So I love being in print, but one of the reasons why I was just like, it's free, right? Like it's free. I don't care what your business is ethically, it's free. We're going to put you up there as long as, you're doing
Right.
something that's legal. So
Right.
what's been cool about that is it helps people find each other. And that's
Sure.
really what they want to do.
Sure. Sure. And support each other.
Yeah, and build a community of practice. Sometimes,
Right.
like, I have girls who make shampoo or they make organic products, and
Mm-hmm.
they have certain values that overlap. They want to go to the same suppliers, or
Mm-hmm.
they want to have conversations. Like, I always tell them they're chemists. I'm like, you're a chemist. If you can make shampoo,
make
you're a
shampoo and
freaking
soap.
chemist,
Right,
right?
right.
So then they have, like, these conversations at dinner, and I'm like, okay, that's just the girls that are doing their thing
That
over
know
there.
how
And
to
it-
do that,
yeah, and
yeah.
it's nice.
Uh-huh.
It's really fun.
Now, what would you say about that?
I have a couple different thoughts on it. So
Yeah.
just in
Please.
terms of
Please.
the program itself and how we get the young people to understand the value of teamwork.
Right.
That's a major component of our program. Throughout the entire process, I actually have them sign a contract, right, at the beginning of the program. And one of them is you have to respect each other, right, and
Right.
us.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yep. So teamwork is like the foundation of when you go into business, and when we teach it, these are your partners, right? There's 10 of you. You're
Right.
all a partner.
Right.
You might not be great at coming up with the design idea, but you might be great at numbers. So that's why we need you. You're the design person. You're great at customer service.
Now, are they all doing, I'm sorry, are they doing a product together?
They all do it together. They're,
Okay.
it's like
okay.
a
So
board
that-
table.
that
Oh, cool.
feeds
We
Put
the
them around the
teamwork.
board
Right,
table.
right, right.
Like they're on the board, the
Yeah.
owners. They think they're the owners.
There's
They are
strength
the
in that
owners.
simulation.
Right.
Yes.
There is psychologically.
They create a business name. Every decision they make, they have to do
Right,
it together.
right. Wonderful.
And then of course there's conflict. So we help work
Sure.
them work through conflict,
Right,
tough
right.
decision making.
Absolutely,
Right?
yes.
There's always one or two that stand out as the leaders of the group.
sure.
But at the end of the day,
Natural.
when we say competition, cooperation. When you're business owners who have to work together collaboratively, there shouldn't be competition amongst you because you're in it together to make the money.
Right.
That's cooperation
Right.
you need, right? In terms of if you grow up, you want to have a business, you're going to have competitors, but that's the nature of capitalism, right?
Right.
You just got to find your niche, and your niche is what's going to bring people to. So you're going to be you got to have that competitive advantage, right? In terms of the program and how it impacts me, there's always competition, right? We're just a little grassroots organization.
Right.
It's hard to get money for this. You would think
Right,
everybody
sure.
would want to throw money at an organization that wants to teach a diverse demographic of people, underserved and
Right.
underprivileged, money to teach them how to be self-sufficient so they can grow up and be self-sufficient and not
Right.
be dependent on a system,
Right, right.
this government system that's been put in place. I get real passionate when I start to talk
Absolutely.
about that. But money is not thrown at you for that, and it's a lot of competition and it's difficult. And then when you're doing it, suddenly now everybody wants to do it, and now everybody's trying to get their hand in the pot rather than wanting to collaborate, because like for Buffalo's small, everybody wants credit for everything, and it's hard to get people to collaborate and work together and understand that, hey, we could get this money together and help young people together. So it's a very competitive nonprofit world out here.
You're reminding me of when I was a mobile therapist. I was working for an agency that wanted to, we worked in teams with families, right? I was mobile, we'd be in the home with the families. And so they wanted to build teamwork. So they had, they decided to have a day when we're going to get together and we're going to do this team building. And so they broke us into arbitrary little teams and had us compete against each other. And even then I'm like, what is wrong with this picture? This is not what you're teaching. So since then, of course, now that, I've been teaching peaceful conflict resolution, and I can name you exercise after exercise. You could make one up so easy of getting everybody to work together. And it makes me want to bring up about reciprocity also. And we know that for grants and things like that, one of the things that grantors really like is to see that collaboration, to see the collaborative spirit, is that you're getting together with people who are doing other things. And it also makes me think of that, now I know you all seen Miracle on 34th Street, right? When, how it's always the right time to do the right thing, and if you're sending somebody where they,
I love you. That's
right,
just cute.
right. Remember when Santa Claus says, "No, you can't get it here, but you can get it over there," and then they saw their business went booming because people want ethical people.
Yeah.
That they can, trust is first, number
That's
one,
number one.
before you do anything.
Yeah, and that's why I think the corporation that I work with does well, because they literally sit down and say, okay, how can we constantly help our community? Like, even from a physical perspective.
Right,
But
right.
I think for me, reciprocity could mean so many things. I think of my friend Deanna Leaks. Her father was incarcerated for marijuana possession, and she has a marijuana-based business.
Right.
She suffered economically
Right.
the loss of her father.
Right.
And now she's using that loss and that experience to leverage her own financial situation. And that to me is reciprocity. That's what
Absolutely.
capitalism is. Like,
Sure.
right? Like now, okay, we're in the game. And I always said she came at a minus, right? Like we're coming
Right.
in minus.
Right.
But I think that.
But now she's coming at a plus.
Yeah, but I
right?
feel right now, especially in New York, especially with our mayor and the people who are leading, I don't like the word renaissance, but the energy, right,
Yeah.
around the city.
Yeah.
It's like they want to hear everyone's business idea. It's like that's how Buffalo runs.
Yeah.
Like it's like everyone's pitching. So I feel very like supported almost by the people who are here because they want to see my friends' businesses, and it's like naturally organically grown. So right now I love everyone because
Well, good.
right, because they're still they're growing. Like we did 60 businesses in 6 months.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
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 And they're all not LLCs, right? To clarify, they're all not people with business plans.
Yeah.
But now I can send them to the places where
Yeah.
they can go to get those things. But I
Right.
think it's acknowledging them as business people in that early stage that is the differentiating factor.
And to help people learn those things.
Oh,
That
yeah,
is a
and gain that
critical
identity.
thing.
I am a business
And,
person.
Yeah, and just having more understanding of the things that one needs to grapple with. Like you said, getting the resources is part of it, knowing what's actually
Available.
happening financially or
Yeah.
otherwise
And
is
m-
another part
and
of
then-
it. And working and finding your niche or finding your partners.
Yeah,
is another
my
part of it.
friends will sit down and listen to each other about how they make their own products, right? And they'll encourage each other.
Sure.
And Stephanie's in the chat, and Stephanie makes, she says, we push and pull each other. Steph, you always say that, and it's amazing.
Right.
And then we share information. So if there's
Sure.
a micro grant,
Exactly.
we're putting it in front of 100 people at the same time.
Right.
I'm not hoarding information. I think
Right.
access to information is valuable in the economy,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
when you're someone who's part of a demographic where there's various levels of information access, you have to be conscious of that, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and
It's good that you don't hoard information.
No, you
I'm sure,
can't.
Miss Vicki, you know how it is out here in this grant world trying
You
to get
gotta-
grants.
Oh,
People,
yeah.
Get it
people will
out.
hoard that information and not information share and let
Sure.
their other collaborators know that something is available.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of
things like
judgy.
that.
I said that, but
No,
you know what I mean.
it's
Like I
fine.
just want
No,
to keep
it's
it to
amazing
myself.
that you guys are like that, and it's
Oh,
great
we have
to
to
hear.
be.
Because the money's so tight, you know what I mean? There's only so much that can go around, and you know, we've definitely run into scenarios where we're fighting for grants when we could be collaborating for the
Right,
grant.
yes,
You know what
and
I mean?
that's
And
what
it makes no sense whatsoever. And
we
if
need
we're
to.
really in it to help,
Right.
then we should be in it together. You
Right.
know, I like to say, like with WAVE, Women Against Violence Everywhere, that's a passion for
Right.
Marilyn, right? She, you know, the people that do work in that organization, that's not what pays their bills.
No.
That's their
Right.
passion to
Right.
help the community.
Right.
But for some, it's how they pay their bills. You know what I mean? So that's where the competition comes in. When
Right.
we need this grant because it's going to fund my salary, whereas we don't need the grant to fund our salary. We have jobs.
Well,
you know
this
what
is
I mean?
this is where I feel like there's still a lot of work to do on
Lots.
our structure, our economic structure as a city, as a country. You know,
Oh, geez, yeah.
because
Yeah, there's an effort to
because
decolonize
we-
philanthropy right now.
We
Yeah.
have
We're working on it.
the worst income and asset distribution. I'm
Yeah,
always saying
absolutely.
this. It's like a broken record. I apologize to the people who watch this show regularly who've heard me say this over and over.
But she
and over.
loves you, Vicki.
But-
You love them, though.
But to know that it's been true that we have the worst income and asset distribution in the Western world, or the organization of economically
But it's what makes us.
supposedly
That's what makes
developed.
us who we are. capitalism is who we are. So that's what
Well,
makes
that's
us
part
who
of
we are.
what. That's where we have to make some changes.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
even though we have a mixed system, the socialist elements are, well, very underfunded and denied. They just went to give how many billions? Was it 6 billion or some huge? It's been billions upon billions. They can't shovel it at the Ukraine fast enough, and nobody says, oh, can we afford it? But when we're talking about school lunches, when we're talking about daycare, when we're talking about infrastructure, it's like, oh, well, can't afford it.
Yeah,
can't
I'm
afford
real
it,
George
can't afford it.
Washington when it comes to that. Like, I'm real, like, I'd say political joke, but like on his way out, he wrote a letter saying that we should, look
Right.
inward for our own growth. And I think
Yes.
that
No
logically.
foreign
yeah.
entanglements. He
Yeah.
said no foreign entanglements.
I knew you knew what I was talking about, Vicki.
Yeah.
Hi, girl. You smart. I
No,
love you.
thanks. Well, and it doesn't, I don't know that I say no foreign entanglements, but it's always the right time to do the right thing. We have a whole world that is also like that. So here we are as a
Well,
country, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
4% of the world's population using 20 or 25% of the world's resources, for one. Then we have the worst income and asset distribution, so that we have the most economic inequality. So we have a lot of very poor people and a few and more billionaires than we've ever had before, right? So that just shows how out of whack our economic system is, and it needs to be corrected.
Right.
And it's still true in this city, even though I'm going to say kudos to, there are corporations that do the right thing,
Not
but there
enough.
are,
There's not
but
enough.
there's not enough.
There's not
Yeah,
enough.
Vicki's like, don't fight with me.
There's not enough. And I was gonna, once we started to get a little bit political, I apologize, but I'm just gonna get a little political. So when
Okay.
people need to pay attention, right?
Uh-huh.
People need to pay attention when it comes time to get a new leader. I'm not even talking Buffalo. I'm talking federal,
Absolutely.
right?
All round.
And
Always.
if you really look at history
Always.
and really pay attention, right? Nobody's being taught. I don't know the biblical section, but you don't just give them the fish. You teach them how to fish,
Right.
so that they can eat.
Right.
They can learn how they fish.
Right.
They eat.
Right.
This country doesn't teach people how to fish. So there's the
Or they
the
assume they don't
social-
fish in
And
their
they'll
home
barely
country.
give 'em anything.
I'm
And they'll
here
barely-
to tell people they fish in their home country. Just ask them.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you. And then we
But-
can save some time.
Yeah, but where I was going with that is how you said there's no middle class anymore. We know that.
Barely,
You
yeah.
either have
It's
money
tough.
or you
It's
don't.
so
You either
tough.
have
Right.
money or you don't.
And
Right?
even if you do, yeah.
And even 50,000 back in the day used to be that was a great salary. Now it's
absolutely.
you're barely scraping by on
Right.
50,000 a year,
Right.
right? But the government acts like we're this free country, right? But we're not this free country.
No,
right?
people are
we're
like
bound
indentured
by all of
servants.
These, right.
Yes.
Right. And the policies that are in place keep poor people poor.
Yes.
And keep rich
yes,
people
yes,
rich.
yes, you're singing my
And-
song.
And
And if Kelly
There's
was here,
Totally
and
agree.
You,
Yeah.
Kelly, we miss you.
Yeah, and there's nothing being done, nothing being taught, no resources being given, nothing to the group of people that need to know how to do better.
Only to the people who don't need it.
Only to the people
to the-
who don't
to the
need
billionaires,
It makes
to the
it's
people-
illogical. So
Right.
So
The big real estate developers.
it's illogical.
The billionaires,
Yeah.
the people who own sports teams, and other people can
Yeah.
get money. Just
well,
can't
my
shovel
thing
it
is,
at them
I don't
fast
want.
enough.
My thing was, I don't even as it related to media. I feel like we have to save ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm just like,
Self-preservation.
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? You don't want to give me money, okay, no problem. You don't want to lend to me, no problem. You want to talk to me like shit because my last name is Rodriguez and I sound like I'm 12 on the phone, no problem. But you're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do, right? I'm going to find a way to use whatever capital or whatever skills my friends have to leverage what I want to do until those companies come to me and they're like, oh, can I give you a preferential rate? And I'm going to be like, no. But I'm just joking. But
No.
I think that was one of it because I felt the same way. I was
So-
like, not that I feel like an indentured servant. I definitely don't feel that way. But in the sense where I felt almost like there was all, like, capitalism is like all this energy and all this information and all this capital, but I felt like down here and I couldn't reach it.
You couldn't get to
I
it.
could, and I'm like, how do I get up there? And I just was like, girl, let me stand on your shoulders. And we got like a little bit closer, but now it's time to bring in, like, there's 68 of us. So now it's time to bring the education, the people
Right.
like you who are professionals that live in this space to talk about leveraging. You know what I mean? Because I can get people together, but I'm not a financial expert by any
No,
means. And I feel
you know-
like I'm sitting next to one.
Yeah.
Looking
You
at
are.
you on the
Definitely.
screen,
You are.
right?
You are.
So it's
now,
like,
I want
okay.
to tell you that we have like 5 minutes.
I know,
left.
Vicki, because my
no.
phone's about
So
to die. I gotta go.
I told you no. It's
Flew by.
I know. It would be
See, you're
flu, but-
regular. You need your own show.
Yeah. No. So
I will. Oh,
so-
I should do a financial podcast. Like a
Sure.
financial
Come on
literacy
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
See, look at
so,
that.
So let us sort of to wind this around. How can people get involved, or how can people help?
Oh
so
my
we
God.
just have final words on that, and I mean a minute or
Don't look
each.
at me like that.
No,
Vicki.
no,
I
no.
learned
Either
from
of you.
I don't
Either
re-
of you.
I don't really
no,
have
I'm only
too
looking
much.
at
Oh
you.
my
because-
gosh, I have like 9 minutes, so I'll
Yeah,
take your
how
minute if
people
you
can.
Yeah, I only need 30 seconds. It's-
Okay, well then we'll go this way.
Yeah,
'Cause
so-
this is actually counterclockwise.
She's like, I
up
don't feel
on
like
the-
dealing with you,
I have
Talia.
30
Yeah.
seconds because I don't really
Yeah.
have, I don't have a web page. I don't have Facebook or anything like that.
But you
we
have
do
an
have Wave.
organization.
But we have Wave Buffalo Inc. But to get a hold of me, 716-316-7351, Tracy Cooley, or TCOOLEY, the number 1, at Hilbert, HILBERT.
Oh, that you're still using that one.
.edu. Yep. But your best bet is to call me, 716-316-7351, if you want to get involved, or if you want the program brought to you, or get your child involved or anything like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So
Thank
that's
you.
a big way
Thank you
that.
for the opportunity.
Oh, we're so
Yeah,
glad
you're
that you're here.
fantastic.
And shout out to Julian.
Yeah,
too.
shout out to Julian for bringing this entrepreneurship program up with Miss Vicki. Shout out to Marilyn Young.
Right,
Yep.
sure.
Shout out to
sure.
Marilyn Young.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the team. Wave team.
Right, right. And all your kiddos.
And all
Yeah.
the kids. And all
Yeah.
the kids.
So go ahead.
The best way you can get involved is do business with my friends.
Yes.
Go to the directory and spend money with them, or call them, get them under contract. The second way is to follow us at LatinasHerStory. Everywhere. No, at LatinasHerStory. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And then also, if you want to read, because I write about the different businesswomen, their narratives, you can go to www.makinglatinaherstory.us, and you can read about Maribel, who's a amazing entrepreneur that I wrote about this month.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I want to say, first of all, I felt like one of the big things about doing this show is for you two to meet each other.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Awesome.
this
Yeah.
yes, very
So
powerful.
that is big. So that
Vicki,
and
you're a
great.
connector. That's what your skill
Well,
is.
thanks. No, because I'm
course.
just lucky to know a lot of really great people, and here are two of them. So, and
Thanks for having me.
you're
Definitely.
both doing so much for the community. It really, really means a lot, and I think it's more to follow. So, and for different, either for youth and for populations that have been marginalized, that have
Yeah.
not been encouraged or given the chance or given the knowledge where the resources are, where there's been the invisible barrier there, to people. We're making it happen, by
Yeah, Buffalo's a special place, and it's a good time
Absolutely.
right now. There's a lot of good, positive energy here.
Yeah.
So, Vicki, thank you for
well, and
bringing it up.
there's a lot of good people bringing all that
Absolutely.
together,
Absolutely.
and so you're two of them. So
Thank
we're so
you.
grateful. Well, I've just got to say
Yes.
thank you for coming into the station.
you.
Oh, of
Thank you for
course.
being on the show.
Thank
you
you.
for the work that you do all the time, and we're just so grateful. So I would just say this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love.